Hey, good morning, everybody. It's early morning to LA. It's a 6:30 edition, the one that comes after the 6 o'clock edition. Because 6:30 is after 6, unless, you're Larry Kudlow working on the morning shift, then, I'm so glad you joined me for the 7th day of the week, which on Larry Kudlow's back is the 9th day of the week. Big updates about your second stimulus check and second stimulus package. Meantime, if you tuned into Purple Power Live last night, wow, real big revelations from some viewers. First of all, one viewer, Maui, a viewer from Maui, Larry Maui, said that unemployment benefits will be extended by the state of Miami for an additional, I think you said 13 weeks. Then one viewer said that New York is going live with a rent grant on December 1st. Then another viewer said that 2 different companies are giving out free heaters to people who need help with heat during the winter, and then another company was giving out furnace or heating devices as well. You see the spirit of this channel. We're all helping each other get through this pandemic, and I'll have updates about your second stimulus check and how to get money and get assistance as well. It's a great morning. The toast is toasting, and I'm glad you joined me for early mornings LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's the 6:30 edition, and this is Early Mornings LA with big updates about your second stimulus check and second stimulus package. And boy, I'm so glad you joined me because there's a lot of breaking news overnight and a lot of great news from viewers that actually were the ear and eyes of a lot of things that I don't know about because it's sort of situational. It's more on the state level, and it's great stuff across the board. If you've not subscribed, please do, because this is an incredible community. This community features me getting you money right now, not 5 weeks from now, not 5 months from now, but right now. And now the spirit of the channel has really sort of permeated. What I initially asked for was, 1 or 2 volunteers to help people get the grants when they couldn't find it. This is CARES Act 1 grants. Now we've grown to about 9 volunteers. And now other people are sharing information about things that they hear coming live, which is absolutely incredible. And people are jumping in the comments trying to help others as things unfold. So ultimately, lean on everyone else because they're here to help. If you're joining me when the show debuts at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you're watching it as an instant premiere, and over to the side is a live chat. The same 60,000 viewers watch Early Mornings LALATE every day with 2 shows, one at 6 a.m. and one at 6:30 a.m. And if you have questions about your rents or grants or utility grants, and you're having problems find it, perhaps drop a comment there and someone will respond. There's always someone that may have heard something that you didn't hear or is there to help you as well. That's the spirit of this channel. And with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you start here this morning is that there's a real new belief that the second stimulus check will be in the continuing resolution budget bill, the CR, and we'll see that unfold next week because last week Mitch McConnell, Steve Mnuchin, and Mark Meadows said they're working on a stimulus offer. That stimulus offer reportedly will slide into the CR, which has had stimulus in it before. So the question is how big, how robust, how retroactive, and that's what people were asking me last night on Purple Power Live. And then they asked me, what do I think is going to happen? Well, there's a lot of major twists happening. The first one is that Janet Yellen's coming in, and as the Treasury Secretary appointee, she's going to be the ears and eyes of Joe Biden. And she will see what Nancy Pelosi is doing right now for stimulus negotiations as this thing with the CR permeates. And she's going to say to Joe Biden, this is not helping the economy. What are you doing here? Why? What is going on here? You're making yourself very difficult by not doing some stimulus relief now, like UI and PUA and FPUC and some stimulus checks, and then doing more later. This whole thing of holding out for a perfect box with a bow on top, which is what Nancy Pelosi has wanted to do since the beginning, is not working. And it's really not working now in light of what happened on Friday. Black Friday sales in stores were down 50% at least. Some viewers think it was down a lot more. Online sales were up to its second highest in recorded history. But that is really looking at big box retailers, the retailers that trade on the Nasdaq or the Dow. How about the small businesses? We won't see the small business numbers until I don't even know how they track them, but we won't see them until potentially Tuesday. And those numbers will give us a guidance as to really the impact of these shutdowns and lockdowns across the country. Now, Los Angeles, if you don't know, is sort of at like an 80% lockdown at this point. It's not a complete lockdown, but it's nearly a complete lockdown, and it's the most severe we've seen since March. And the shutting down of a major economy like this, that's bigger than the economy of some states, is really broadcast front page news on the major channels because they're saying, hey, where is the stimulus for all this? You can't have people stay at home and not give them stimulus. Let me give you an example. A business in LA is shut down because of a lockdown order. So then the business owner's not making money. The employees are laid off. The employees' family members have no money because the employee that provides for them that normally works has no money. And things just sort of snowball. And then suddenly you look and you wonder, wait a second, what's going on? So the CR, the continuing resolution, is expected to have a stimulus check in it, an FPUC of $250 a week, as low as that, retroactively to September, with some PPP, some mortgage forbearance, eviction moratorium, and student loan debt repayment holds as the deal provisions. It's due by December 11th. It's generally done ahead of time, and it's not unusual to have stimulus in a continuing resolution budget bill. It was done on the last one. And so the question is how it's going to be dealt with. And people were asking me last night for Power Live, what do you think Nancy's going to say? Her level of craziness is just hard to grasp at this point. So I don't know how much crazier she can get than she has been. As I drop something. She's making me crazy. So what's important to understand is that, Steve Mnuchin offered $400 a week in July. She turned that down. You would have had that money by now. It's been what, 20 weeks that you have had $8,000. Mitch McConnell offered $300 a week, 20 weeks. You had $6,000 in your bank account. And then there was stimulus checks offered. $2,000 was offered by Steve Mnuchin. That's bringing you to $10,000 with Steve Mnuchin. I mean, all these numbers are adding up. And so ultimately, I do believe you're going to get stimulus if they act rationally. The question is who's going to get them to talk rationally. Wall Street's talking rationally now. And someone asked me about that last night. Wall Street's literally saying, you're never going to see Nancy Pelosi's number. Someone tell her that, because apparently she's the only one that's not catching that. No one's going to see her number ever. And ultimately, that will only happen if 2 Senate seats fall in Georgia. But you can't wait to January 5th. You can't wait to January 5th to give stimulus. You have to give stimulus now. I mean, you can't have people on unemployment for let alone a day, let alone 3 or 4 weeks with no benefits. You have to understand that when I say the benefits are running out in December, some states have actually shut the benefits down. Now, in Hawaii, like that one viewer said, they're extending the benefits, thank goodness, but not all the states will do that. So now the really good news is the success of this channel on getting CARES Act 1 money, grants, escalated benefits, and EIDL. I want you to understand that I launched this about 9 days ago. It was on Thursday, not this Thursday, but the Thursday before that. And the first 2 days, I just really had to get people to understand what I'm talking about. They're like, what? What are you talking about? That's a loan? I'm like, no, it's not a loan. It's a grant. What's a grant? It's free. It's free? Why would it be there? Because it was given to the states. They just didn't tell you. Why didn't they tell me? I should have to do this. I had to do that for 2 days. Once I got through all that, it sort of snowballed. And now it's absolutely incredible. It's really working so wonderful because everyone understands what it is. Everyone understands where it is. And the only thing they're dealing with now is finding it, which is the best part of the situation. Understanding what it is and where it would be was the hardest thing to explain on this channel. And now that everyone's trying to find it and knows where it is the best thing. Now, I mean, there's always exceptions. So someone on Purple Power Live last night said, do you have a rent grant to, I think it was to fix my bike? It's just like, no, the Harley grants just ran out. Sorry, that's. Do you have a grant to fix my hairstyle? No, she didn't do that either in her stimulus package. But ultimately, this is money you can get. So how do you get it? City, county, and state, and then your utilities company, and then a few private religious charities. Let me start with the religious charities. There's two religious charities who have done absolutely incredible work. I don't say them on air because I just don't want to say it on air. I don't want to flood their systems. But ultimately, if you reach out to the prompts to the volunteers, they're going to tell you which ones they are. They're absolutely wonderful. And so, for example, in Houston, there is no rental grant from the city of Houston, but this charity is paying rental grants. And when I said that on Purple Power, when we talked about it somewhere yesterday, someone said, yes, that charity has really helped so many people in a lot of places. Now, what I learned last night is that besides city, county, and state housing authority for rent, and besides the charities and the private action groups and the community groups that are also paying rent, when we talk about utilities and we look at your utility companies, I now am seeing things that I never would have thought that viewers could find. Utility companies are now paying giving some of the viewers furnaces and heaters and heating devices to get them through the winter months because they don't want them to freeze to death. They don't want them to die because of no power or because of no heating oil, because they can't afford heating oil, they can't afford gas, they can't afford whatever the mechanism they use in their communities. So some of these charities are actually giving these devices, which is just incredible. So I want you to think out of the box. That's out of the box for me. I never would have thought of even bringing that up. So there are communities, and the volunteers have been in some of these live chats, have heard about these communities. So I want you to reach out to the volunteers. They'll repeat them to you as well. They're giving out furnaces or heating devices like portable heaters and things like that to keep you warm. And that's the testament of this channel, that people are getting the information and sending it out. Other examples of things that did not exist a few days ago and now exist. For example, San Diego County did not have a rent grant program just a few days ago. Now it does. One viewer last night on Purple Power Live said New York is going live with a rent grant. Pennsylvania, one viewer, Pennsylvania says they don't have rent grants. And one viewer last night said, I got it in Pennsylvania. So things are popping up all over the place. Let me go to EIDL. EIDL, I want you to get, and I want you to know that you can get it for each of your businesses, which I have not said in recent videos. If you have several S corporations that are all impacted by the pandemic, they can separately all apply so long as they're all done completely separately. Separate EIN, separate bank accounts, separate earnings, separate, everything's separate, and it has their own numbers. Also, if you're a person who has an S corporation but also does Uber and Lyft on the side, and that has happened, not just once but several times, you can do separate applications for that as well. One for the S corp and one for the EIN. Remember, when you go to sba.gov and you see that economic injury disaster instrument, and it asks you on page 1, is this a small business or is this an independent contractor? If the applicant is using a Schedule C, it's clearly you. So it's your name, your social security number, your personal bank account. Your name is the name of the business. But if it's an S corp or an LLC or anything like that, or an Inc., then it's that official name that's with the state, the EIN, the business banking account, and the business address. Don't mess up anything over here. I'm being very clear about that. For example, don't change the spelling of the business or change corp to Inc. or LLP to LLC. Don't change anything. Make sure it's exactly, precisely correct. One little error could cause the result of the application be denied. That's why SBA is so technical. They want to make sure everything is exact. And finally, the account number. Make sure you don't put a personal account number with a corporation. That will bounce you in a second. You will get denied for that second. A lot of things developing, and today there's going to be big developments as well. Wall Street's going to start looking more about those economic consumer numbers over the weekend, and they'll have more about those details. It takes a few days for a lot of things to filter through. I'll have the updates throughout the day. Meantime, join me at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time time with Mornings LA. Big updates across the board. I don't want you to miss that broadcast. That's 8:30 a.m. And then at 12 noon with Holidays LA. Holidays LA gives you 10 minutes of stimulus updates in the middle of the day because there's always something breaking, followed with some holiday decor. So don't ever miss that video. Meantime, if you're tuning into this broadcast and miss the 6 o'clock a.m. edition, it's in the pinned comment. So the 6 a.m. edition is also airing right before this as well. If you have questions or comments, drop them in the comments below. I might feature them in tomorrow's recording. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay LA for more.